From the BG Podcast Network studios, brought to you by Chattahoochee Tech, this is your Paulding County News Podcast, bringing our stories to life with news, events, and what we're talking about in Paulding County. Like, follow, and subscribe to hear the latest news from the Paulding County News Podcast wherever you get your podcasts. And here's what you're talking about.
Welcome to your Paulding County News Podcast. I'm Melissa Carter along with Doug Harding. It's political season, so we're continuing our conversations with some of the candidates. Now, coming up, our conversation with Scott Turner, who is running for a commission seat. Also this weekend, we're going to talk to both candidates for Paulding County Sheriff, so you don't want to miss that. First, let's take a look at our top stories. Early voting has begun. Speaking of elections, you have until May 17th to take part at 3 different locations in Paulding County: Watson Government Complex, Dianne Wright Center, and Burnt Hickory Park. Hours are 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. Weekend early voting will take place this Saturday and next Saturday, but only at the Watson Government Complex and the Dianne Wright Center. This from Paulding.gov.
This week, the City of Dallas Police Department is shining a light on a critical issue: human trafficking, defined as organized criminal activity where individuals are exploited and controlled. It's a global scourge with surprising local implications. Did you know Atlanta ranks among the top 10 U.S. cities for human trafficking? If you suspect trafficking or are a victim, call the National Human Trafficking Hotline at 1-888-373-7888. Help is available 24/7. This from the City of Dallas Police Department.
You know, this is completely off the topic of Paulding County in general, but I saw something on Instagram, Doug, where it was a young woman who was talking about something, but you could tell, and she was trying to be excited about it, okay? And it was a religious thing that popped up on my feed, but you could tell she had been crying and that she was reading from a script. And I thought to myself, she is in trouble, but I couldn't find a way to flag that particular post. Like there's not like a human trafficking button you can push to report certain posts. But I just thought, this is, you hear it all the time, but it really is a serious issue. And it's Atlanta Hartsfield Airport is the reason that we're one of the top ranked, because they can, unfortunately get them in and out of the airport.
Yeah, the busiest airport in the world. So it makes sense.
So sad. So yeah, keep your eyes open. Well, congratulations to Chattahoochee Technical College on the grand opening of their state-of-the-art aviation training academy at the Paulding Northwest Atlanta Airport. Joining in the celebration last week were the Paulding County School District, the Georgia Department of Education Division of CTAE, the Southern Regional Education Board, and the Georgia Department of Economic Development. Together, they forged a collaborative initiative, the Aviation Center Pathways Project. Now, we've talked about it on the show before. Sure. This pioneering venture aims to cultivate interest in aviation careers among high school students, fostering a seamless transition into Chattahoochee Tech's aviation certification programs. This from the Paulding County School District.
All righty, Paulding County, let's check out some weather. So partly cloudy today with a high in Dallas and Hiram of 82, lows in the upper 50s. Thursday, mostly cloudy with a high in Dallas and Hiram of 86, lows in the lower 60s. And showers will move in late Friday with a high of 82 degrees.
98.7 Chat Tech, where 98.7% of our students earn a career.
So for each of our programs at Chattahoochee Tech, we have an industry advisory committee. Those are people in each given industry that will employ our graduates when they get finished with our program.
We have students that are placed at manufacturing companies such as, let's say Glock, for example, the gun manufacturer, because they have machinery that's running 24/7 to create the guns. So all the way from that to healthcare, where like hospitals, for example, they're running 24/7 and they have machinery that needs to be running 24/7 as well.
My program is specifically for students who want to be in healthcare, but maybe don't want patient contact. Maybe they want to be in healthcare, in a healthcare field that's recession-proof and they're helping people, but maybe they don't want blood, body fluids, any of those elements in their life. So they may choose healthcare management to be on the opposite side of the patient care.
Visit chattahoocheetech.edu, where 98.7% of our students earn a career.
We're back with more of your Paulding County News Podcast.
From WSB's Facebook page, this is a story, Doug, that makes me think of, if you ever get pulled over and you wonder why police are so cautious about coming to your car. Well, this is one of those things. A Georgia woman has been arrested after being pulled over for a cell phone violation. But it wasn't the phone that got her in trouble. The 29-year-old had with her just under 2 kilos of meth, which equals about 4.5 pounds. Oni Jenkins said, good for them, but how does a traffic ticket turn into a search? Jimmy Blake said, it's an illegal search. Ronald Ledford said, using the phone is probably the biggest fine of the 2 crimes. And Debbie Thomas says, that's methed up. She took your joke, Doug.
Yeah, well, there's more to this story, I have a feeling.
It seems like there's more to the story, but it just reminds me of when you get pulled over and, again, police are usually kind of coming at you from a kind of a little bit of a distance, a little bit of a kind of a circle to you, and they're always kind of cautious and stern because sometimes these pullovers don't go very well. But again, yeah, how does a cell phone turn into meth? I don't know.
I think if I was a meth dealer, I probably wouldn't put the meth within view of somebody coming up to my car. I don't know. That's just me. I'm not a drug dealer, never will be, but just thinking out loud.
Be careful where you put your meth. From the What's Happening in Paulding County Facebook page, an anonymous post. Potential first-time homeowner here. Any suggestions on what I should look for in buying a home and maintaining it? There was plenty of feedback for this. Sandy Doherty said, stop spending money. Learn the difference between a need and a want. A house costs more than just a mortgage payment. Cindy Oldham said, I highly recommend not borrowing the max amount you qualify for, as you need to remember that taxes and insurance usually go up. Set aside some money every month to cover repairs. Even $50 a month helps. Interview more than one agent. And if you don't know what kind of mortgage you qualify for, talk to a mortgage lender. Cheryl Long says, I always feel like you should work in an area and rent in that area to see how you're going to like the houses. I thought this was pretty interesting. See if there's too much traffic. You may want to change your mind after a year of renting. Otherwise, if you don't know the area you're stuck in with this house because you just bought it on a 30-year note. Now, Doug, I know that you and I both have been homeowners, and I will say there was one time that I didn't think about renting in the neighborhood beforehand, but one of the houses that I bought, the owner had already left, so it was an empty house. So there was one night that a friend and I took like a picnic dinner and a bottle of wine and snuck on the back porch and sat there for a couple hours. I know squatting probably illegally, but we wanted to hear traffic, what things were like at night, if there's a lot of people walking around. We wanted to know what it was like in the evening because we felt like that was very telling of the neighborhood. I probably shouldn't confess to that, but it is important to look, in the neighborhood you're moving in to see if you're going to like it.
Melissa, we've got 2 sheriff interviews coming up on Sunday's edition of the Paulding County News Podcast. I think I might have to little chat with them about you.
Yes. If you're elected, will you arrest Melissa Carter? Well, your weird story of the day. American consumers are in for a more cosmic treat as they get to taste a flavor from galaxies far, far away. That's your hint. I don't think this is weird, but a lot of people do if you're not a geek. In a groundbreaking collaboration between Disney's Lucasfilms and the Dairy Farmers of America, Doug, True Moo Blue Milk is now available nationwide.
Okay.
Now, if you've never seen Star Wars, you won't get this. But in Star Wars, if you remember from the very first episode, not the prequels, but the first one that came out in the 70s,
right?
Luke drank blue milk there when he was talking to his uncle and his aunt.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So it's timed perfectly for this weekend's May the 4th celebration. Fans can now sip on the iconic blue milk seen in that original Star Wars movie. It's 1% fat, vanilla flavored, and it's a delight. Comes in half-gallon containers. Am I talking too much about this? Am I showing my Dragon Con self? But it's a dairy product. It's a dairy product because at Disney, they have like a rice-based version of it. But this is actual milk from True Blue Milk, and it's only for a limited time until July. This from the Washington Times.
Learn how to succeed and win big in life, plus much, much more. Listen to the Red Hot Read Podcast, wherever you get your podcasts.
What's happening in Paulding County? We've got you covered.
Paulding, we've got some events to tell you all about this Friday at 4 o'clock. Night market at Courthouse Square in downtown Dallas. Saturday, 8 a.m. Keep Paulding Beautiful's Community Shred event. That's at 240 Constitution Avenue in Dallas. And finally, looking ahead to May 21st, beginning at 4 o'clock, mother and son Nerf battle at New Hope Ballpark in Dallas. Awesome.
Yes, I have done a mother-son Nerf event. I have not done it there at Hope Ballpark, but it's a lot of fun. But let me give the mothers a warning, okay? If it's anything like the one I was at, the way it works is you're on either side of the whatever they have set up in a field or indoors at a gym. And when you're shooting the ammunition, then you're able to go pick up said ammunition that's already been spent and put it back in your weapon as, new ammunition. Well, you usually are crouching behind something and have to crawl to go get said ammunition. And for some mothers like myself, that proved to be the hardest part. It wasn't the shooting, it wasn't the running, but it was the squatting and crawling that I found that, wait a second, now when I was younger, I could do this very easily, but somehow as me getting older, so I just letting you know your sons are going to be able to get that ammunition faster than you will. So you're going to have to come up with some plan. Coming up, my interview with Scott Turner, who is running for Paulding County Commissioner Board Post 1. Why does he want to run? Where you're going to hear his passion and the issues that he brings to the table coming up next.
Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to the Paulding County News Podcast wherever you get your podcasts.
All of our feature interview pieces here on the Paulding County News Podcast are presented by Credit Union of Georgia.
Let's meet some of the interesting people in our neighborhood.
Scott Turner is here with us. He is running for the Paulding County Commissioner Board Post 1. Is that correct, Scott?
That is correct.
Scott, thank you for being here. One of the questions I've asked everybody, and I'm going to ask you, is, what's your motivation for running for office? Because it seems that now in this tense political climate, that it really takes people who are, I consider, brave. So how did you get to this point?
First of all, thank you for having me. It got to where I was not receiving the answers that I was wanting. I mean, not even the ones I wanted, that I was seeking. Every finger was being pointed to a different direction. You go to zoning, they say the board. You go to the board, they plant zoning. Being in a political race, you have different things that you're passionate about. I mean, like traffic. We're sitting here talking about traffic in Paulding County. We have one of the major corridors coming through Paulding County, which is 92, and another one, which is 120. It's about to open up. It's about to open up to 6 lanes in most of it, and then 4 lanes to 6 lanes in other areas, going from here, from Douglas County I-20 all the way up to 41 up in Ackworth. So this major corridor is going to bring in a lot of traffic. It's going to bring in a lot of trucks. I have not seen anything where it says, hey, we're going to bypass these trucks from, say, Hiram, which, Post 1 goes to Hiram, but I'm not just for Post 1. I'm for Paulding County. What is the traffic going to be like at Crossroads? With the amount of traffic and the amount of trucks, you're about to double that. You're about to triple that, because you have a wreck over at, say, Thornton Road. It's going to throw everything on I-20 to Fairburn Road all the way up to Ackworth, right? Those things concern me, especially when I have a daughter that's 16-year-old that just started driving. I have other children that have been driving, but now it's starting to scare me. We're starting to get a lot more traffic, a lot more road rage. I made a film the other day at Macklin 92 where it only gave me 8 seconds to turn. That's 2.5 cars, and pretty much 5 cars went through there, 2 or 3 of them ran the red light. So when you talk about safety, what is a life worth? You can't put a dollar figure on that. 92 is a state highway. Board of Commissioners can't do anything about that. Well, if you can raise enough cane, you can stir enough up, and you can get what you need to get done.
It's a case of, instead of complaining about it, right, you're doing something about it. And that's why you got here. Scott, I mean, talk about the fact that Paulding County, one of the fastest growing counties in the state. And I've said that on a lot of these interviews because there are new issues that come up with that growth in population. And to your point, traffic and roads and how you're going to plan for the future has to be one of those top concerns.
It can't be that we're going to talk about this, what's going to happen in 5 years. We need to be planning for 5 years. If we're talking 5 years from now and you have the same people running the same thing and they're not doing anything about it, there are some great people in this county. I don't put my name behind any of the people that are running because it could damage what they have going on, but I believe in a lot of things that they're saying. I believe in a lot of things that they really have the passion for this county. I can't say go back to the old Paulding County, but where it was more like family, it was more like country, and that's not going to happen. But we have to plan for the traffic so we're not ending up like downtown Atlanta or 285 where we have potholes in the road and where you're hating to drive back and forth.
I'm sure if you interviewed people, like you said, in the Atlanta area, and they probably said, well, they should have had a plan 20, 30 years ago for this growth that came now, right? And so here we have Paulding County in the same situation where it's growing, and instead of ignoring it, to your point, you have to face it.
There's little things that you can do. Coming from Douglasville, why can't you use the bypass as far as saying, hey, trucks can only go around this way instead of going through downtown Hiram? That's one little thing, but it doesn't take care of from 120 up to Ackworth. Where's the plan of expanding that intersection now that we have a gas station, we have a Starbucks? That intersection has got to be widened up, but now you're going to take out a lot of businesses. So what's the plan? We're working on it. Well, what is your plan? What have you done so far? Being at the round table the other day, I've been in this county since a week before the blizzard of 93. I know a lot of people in this county, but being at that round table, I realized that there's a lot of people I don't know. I only knew like 6 or 7 people in that room. I was like, I've been in this county for this long, and there's this big of a disconnect. Plus, we have all these rental houses to where you're not really going to know your neighbor anymore. So that brings in the whole police thing. The sheriff's running around saying, hey, we're going to make this better, but the funds are not there to be able to give them body cams. We need to preserve a lot of the wildlife around here. There was a coyote in my neighborhood just this morning. The neighborhoods are driving the coyotes and all the wildlife into the populated area, which is dangerous in itself. In post one, where we have on Bobo and Macklin, where it's a traffic jam every day in the afternoons. But we're going to build a lacrosse field 1.5 miles up the road. Nobody's thinking ahead. There's 5 of us. If y'all 4 want to go ahead and do a tax hike or cost the Paulding County more people, my answer is going to be no. Not unless it benefits the people of Paulding County.
I just asked Scott, why is he running? And I mean, you can tell the passion in your voice about all these issues that reflect a huge amount of the Paulding population feeling the same way. Before we go, how do people find out about your campaign, more about you? Is there a website or something that they could go to?
I have a page. It doesn't matter what I say. It's always going to be tore down. My phone number's on there. You can call me anytime.
This is a similar question I've asked other candidates again in other offices. Is it different in an age of social media to run for office? Like, does it make it easier or does it make it tougher, do you think?
I never knew I had that many enemies.
Really?
I never, and I say that, I mean, you have to have, even the passion that I have, you still have to have thick skin. Because, like I said, you don't realize you have that many enemies. Now you walk outside, you're like, I didn't know this many people hated me. It's not anything that I've done. It's just I'm running against somebody that they believe that needs to be in office more than I do. And I tell people all the time, we talk about the Trump-Biden race, right? Mm-hmm. Those are things that's going to affect you more along the long term. But your local political races is what's going to affect you next week, next month, in the coming year when your millage rate goes up. Those type things is going to affect you more on your local races. They're spending your tax money and your tax dollars, your SPLOST dollars right here at home. They could go to better schools. They could go to, like I said, body cams. Let's just say on building a house. When you talk about $250,000 home, or yes, that's on the low end now in Paulding County, but even a $400,000 home, if you say, hey, you know what, it may not be favorable to everybody, but let's just say we put another $1,000 for the permit and put that towards building the police up, building the task force, building some of the things that we need to be more secure, building the morale to say, hey, I can't go out here and do my job if I don't have the right equipment. There's a lot of things that could be done and not cost the taxpayers what it's costing them.
Well, Scott, we've run out of time, but what a pleasure it is to talk to you. And again, Scott Turner running for Paulding County Commissioner, Board Post 1, and the primary is May 21st. Scott, thank you for taking the time out to talk to us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Life's a constant hustle. And at Credit Union of Georgia, our focus is crystal clear. It's all about you. Juggling a million things? We get it. That's why we're committed to providing the best service imaginable. We're not just your credit union. We're your financial allies. Knowledge is our power, from crafting basic budget plans to navigating the local home buying scene. Questions popping up? We've got you covered with fast, friendly answers. Because we want you to spend more time living your life. Imagine a financial institution that truly cares. That's Credit Union of Georgia inviting you to join us. If you live, work in Bartow, Cherokee, Cobb, Dawson, Paulding, Pickens, or Union County, we want you as a member of Credit Union of Georgia family. Because here, you're not just a member, you're part of a community that cares. Ready to experience banking that revolves around you? Call us at 678-486-1111 or visit cuofga.org. Credit Union of Georgia. Your financial journey, our priority.
We're back with more of your Paulding County News Podcast.
Checking your sports here, courtesy of New Season Church from the Paulding Sports Chronicle. In round 2 playoff action in lacrosse, the girls, North Gwinnett, beat North Paulding 10-6. And the boys, Paulding beat North Cobb 14-3. So here's what's happening in soccer. The boys playoff round 2, it was Lassiter beating South Paulding 2-0. And in baseball playoffs, round 1, game 3, Habersham Central beat South Paulding 7-2.
And finally, an elderly Georgia woman found herself entangled in a romantic scam, believing she was in an online relationship with Joe Elliott. Do you know who Joe Elliott is? Well, if you're a fan of Def Leppard, you do, because that's the lead vocalist. According to Jackson County Sheriff Janice Magnum, the woman in her 80s had lost approximately $11,000 in this scam. The deception began innocently enough in December with daily text conversations that eventually turned romantic between the woman and the imposter posing as Elliot. Now, just, I know a lot of people think, oh, well, she's in her 80s. Well, Elliot's in his 60s. So, 20 years age difference, not a big deal when you're older. The scam took a serious turn when the imposter convinced the woman to purchase gift cards using money he sent her, claiming they were for his children to conceal his supposed divorce. As the relationship progressed, the scammer obtained the woman's bank account information, manipulating her into sending money through various apps. Bless her heart. Despite her daughter seeking help from the authorities after discovering the scam, the damage had been done. However, the bank has since halted any further activity on her account. This from the Athens Banner Herald, but it goes back to what we said earlier about even in Paulding County, the sheriff's office is like, look, if somebody says you have money that you owe the government, the county government, and they try to get you to buy gift cards for it, it's not real, right? The gift card seems to be the thing that these scammers look for.
I hate that so much. Those scammers make me so irate. And apparently this works because they keep going and going and going.
Well, and there's phishing scams on dating sites. There's phishing scams on job sites. If you go to job boards, in the past, I have experienced where somebody offered me a job and they ended up not even being real people. You know what I mean? So, yep. With technology, people are going to try to find a way to make money. And so just got to be careful, unfortunately.
I just heard a story where this woman was on a dating website and the date said, hey, show up to this restaurant. And it turned out to be a scam that the restaurant was running to get people in the restaurant.
Oh, really?
Yep.
That's a shame. And we will have final thoughts after this.
Whether you're new to church, have been a Christian for many years, or looking for a fresh start, you're welcome at New Season Church. New Season is a place where people can believe in God, belong to a family of believers, and become fully devoted followers. We exist so that people far from God may experience life in Christ and become fully engaged followers. Join us for one of our 2 Sunday services, 9 or 11 a.m.
Hi, this is Pastor Steve Flockhart. Whether you're new to the Paulding community or have been here since the day you were born, New Season Church is a place where all are welcome. From our exciting children and student ministries to our engaging Bible studies and small groups and events, I promise New Season Church has a place for you.
New Season Church, just off Highway 278 at 4457 Atlanta Highway in Hiram. We exist so that people far from God may experience life in Christ and become fully engaged followers. New Season looks forward to seeing your entire family this Sunday, and feel free to check us out online at newseason.cc. We believe what comes into our minds when we think about God is the most important thing about us. We look forward to seeing you Sunday at 9 or 11 a.m. at New Season Church in Hiram. Thanks for listening to today's Paulding County News Podcast. Follow and subscribe to hear the latest news from the Paulding County News Podcast wherever you get your podcasts. For you, about you, and from you. Get involved in the conversation at 404-997-8655 or info@bgadgroup.com. Did you know over 50% of Americans listen to podcasts weekly? Make sure you join us for our next episode and be sure to share this podcast on social media with your friends and family. Add us to your Alexa Flash Briefing or your Google Home Briefing, and be sure to like, follow, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
This podcast is a production of BG Ad Group. All rights reserved.
This podcast aggregate content from other sources for informational purposes and is in no way trying to infringe on the copyrights or businesses of any other entities. All content posted up on the site is used under the Fair Use Copyright Law 107. All audio, media, and articles are copyrighted to the original owners. All audio on this podcast are embedded from YouTube.com and are owned by their respective copyright owners. No audio information are copyrighted or stored on our servers. The court ruled that linking or embedding copyrighted videos is not copyright infringement, even if the source video was uploaded without permission. However, we will gladly remove any audio clip upon valid request from respective copyright owners. Any owners also have the option to disable embedding his YouTube videos on other websites. News and press articles are owned by the respective copyright owners. Where possible, the appropriate accreditation or source of the article is given on the same page. The audio-video files on this site are for listening purposes only. Downloading of these files to one's computer is strictly prohibited. They are owned by the respective copyright owners. If it is in the organization's belief that the usage or specific content used on our site containing copyrighted knowledge conflicts with authorized use and or does not comply with fair use as described in the context, contact us through our contact page and we will remove the offending content immediately. Thanks for listening to the Paulding County News Podcast.